Sparrows, and welcome back to Green-Eyed Starlit. If you are new here, hello and welcome. My name is Brandy and I'm working to live a life worth living through art, movement, and exploration. So we have finally made it, the last video in our What is Love series and the last video of February. Like, what? Does anyone else feel like this year has gone by really fast and also gone by really slow at the same time? Because like for me, I feel like I can't believe it's already basically March, but also things that happened just this month feel like a lifetime ago. No? Just me? Okay. Cool. With being our last video of February, we have come to our last type of love in our What is Love series, and that is romantic love. If you have absolutely no idea what I am talking about, I highly suggest you go check out my previous 4 videos where we talk about everything from what is love to self-care to friendships, especially the adult kind, and familial love. I will leave all of those linked above and down below for your viewing pleasure. But let's get into the good stuff, romantic love. Now I think it's safe to say that this was one of the most eagerly awaited videos in the series, and that's completely understandable, seeing as us as humans, love, especially romantic love, is one of the things that we're constantly searching for, constantly yearning for. And I think in the Western culture, especially as we're raised on fairy tales and that ideal of the perfect nuclear family and marriage, it's understandable. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with fairy tales. Fairy tales are not bad. It was and is still one of my most enjoyable forms of escapism. But I think it's something that is very important to note. I believe there's this belief that if you find the perfect person, that it will complete your life and just make everything better. And I'm sorry if you're holding on to that belief or you're operating on that belief system, but that is not at all true. Like, at all. Now there are a lot of different things that we could talk about underneath this umbrella topic of romantic love, and a lot of personal experiences that I can pull from to also talk about, from being in a transatlantic long-distance relationship, to being cheated on, to pushing people away and sabotaging my own relationship, all of which were different relationships, just to be clear. But I think something that is more widely relatable and less often talked about is not losing ourselves in our own relationships. If that sounds like something you would be interested in, then make sure you hit that like button. It really does help the algorithm, helps me out, and keep watching. So what do I mean by losing yourself in a relationship? Well, let me ask you this. Do you have a friend or a sibling that you spend almost all your time with, and recently they started dating someone and now you feel like you never ever see them? Have you ever been this friend or sibling? I know I have. I definitely have. And I'm a little embarrassed to admit it. It's a little embarrassing, but I think it's important to acknowledge my own, let's call them flaws, because it's important to acknowledge that and address the situation. But I also think it's really important for me to share that with you guys, because I really want you to know that I am not some all-knowing wizard that just, you know, knows all. Pretty much everything that I can bring to the table and share with you guys come from mistakes that I've made in the past. But anyways, it makes sense, and we often see this in couples in their honeymoon phase, which is basically the very beginning of a relationship, when you're still super infatuated with your partner, you are trying to get to know each other, and you're trying to spend as much time together as humanly possible. This is completely normal, and in my opinion, it's a very beautiful part of a relationship, because no matter how old you are, it kind of takes you back to that feeling of when you had a crush in like high school. It's, you know, exciting and it's new and it just makes you kind of feel all like bubbly, and I think that's really beautiful. However, this excitement can lead us to get caught up in this bubble of us and our relationship, and without correction, this is how we begin to lose ourselves in our relationships. We start to neglect other parts of our lives and our family and our friends due to this new shift in our focus. I I think it is completely understandable that if you don't have a lot of free time on your hands to start with, that you do spend a vast majority of that time with your significant other. But like I said before, I think it's a common belief that once we find our person, once we find our significant other, that all of a sudden our lives are complete. Like somehow your love life is this magical puzzle piece that once in place will just fix everything. And that is not at all true. And if that is a belief that you have been operating on, I am so sorry to burst your bubble. Wow, I've said bubbles a lot in this video. But there are so many aspects that go into your life that need to be nourished to make a, healthy, fulfilling life. A loving relationship will not make up for a lack of attention to your health or your career. We must get away from the notion or the ideal that love will fix all. Honestly, I think it was a bus driver I had in college who said it, but a healthy relationship is not two people that are living for each other, but two people who are living alongside each other. Wow. Just wow. Can we please take a second and give it up for this UCF bus driver? Like, shedding this wisdom down upon us. I mean, obviously it was powerful enough for me to remember 5 years later, but yeah, I think that is such a powerful way to look at it. And I mean, I know we're on the topic of romantic love, but I think that this, let's call it a quote, can really apply to any form of love or relationships, because I've had friends who practically live their entire lives for their parents or their friends. We get so caught up in, what everybody thinks and, seeking out that validation that we do everything in our power to stay on those people's good side. And I'm sure this stems back to some kind of childhood trauma, because it always does, but I think that's a very valid thing that we should look at. What I'm about to say is super very important, because I know someone somewhere needs to hear this. But your person, your soulmate, is going to love you unconditionally. You do not have to change yourself. You do not have to modify your behaviors to be loved by your true person. And I know that's hard to find, and I know that's hard to believe, but you and you alone are enough, okay? Please know that. Do not change for someone. Now, what can we do if we all of a sudden realize, 2-3 months into our stay on Honeymoon Island, that we might be losing ourselves a little bit in our relationship? Well, the first and most important step is first realizing and admitting the issue. Just like any problem, you must define it first, and then from there you can come up with a solution to the problem. In my opinion, the first thing you want to look at is the habits and the hobbies that you used to do before you met your significant other, and see when was the last time you did these things. If these activities brought you joy, then see if you can start working them back into your routine, back into your schedule. These things don't always have to be a specifically you thing. For example, if you feel like you used to do yoga a lot and now you feel like you barely roll out your mat, see if your partner would want to join you, once a week in doing yoga. But that is completely up to you. You can use this as your me time, or you can try to incorporate it into your relationship as well. That is completely up to you and can change at any point. The next thing you're going to want to examine is the relationships that you've been neglecting. Now, this most commonly will be friends and family, but I guess this also could apply to work relationships. But just like I talked about in my Adult Friendships Are Hard video, which I will link above if you want to go check that out, I think you should make a list of all the people that you feel like you've been neglecting lately. Make a list and then reach out to those people and make plans. And if you really feel like you've neglected those people like I accidentally did in the past, then you want to apologize. Because personally, I think it is totally understandable to get caught up in a relationship. I do. But your friends and family are just as important as your romantic relationship, and you need to let them know that. So I would always apologize for being MIA in that situation. And the final thing you want to do is create an environment that does not make it easy for you to lose yourself to your relationship again. Because listen, no matter how much you love your significant other, no matter how much you enjoy spending time together, you always need to have a little bit of designated time just to yourself, both of you. always need a little bit of designated time just to yourself. One of the best ways I've ever seen a couple do this is actually two of my friends who are currently dating. Their tactic to making sure that they always have designated time together and designated time apart is to actually work with their 5-day work week and make sure that they always have one day off together and one day off where the other one is working. I think this is brilliant because it makes it a part of their schedule. Once a week, their significant other gets up and goes to work, and they can use this day however they choose for self-care. They can use it to go hang out with friends or family, whatever they want to do, and I think this is brilliant. And it also makes sure that they have one day a week that they can use as like their date day to go on adventures and stuff like that, which in my opinion is also very important, to make sure that you make that time to, you know, go on little dates and stuff like that. But that is a topic for a different day. The important thing here is to not only schedule out and make time for your significant other, but to also plan out and make time for yourself and all your other relationships as well. I want you guys to know that, you know, losing yourself in a relationship does not always mean that the relationship is bad. Sometimes it can mean the relationship is just really good. But we all need to take life in moderation, and I think that is something that me as a Cancer baby doesn't always remember. I'm a little obsessive when I'm really happy with certain things. I'm just a little bit obsessive. So I think it's really important to remember that if a friend or a family member has, you know, kind of gone MIA with a new relationship, that doesn't always mean that that boyfriend or that girlfriend or that significant other is bad. They just might be really happy. And so it's important to know from the outside perspective and the inside perspective of the relationship. It's okay. We just need to have a little bit more mindfulness, which we could probably have a little bit more mindfulness about all aspects of our life, if we're being honest. Okay, Melissa Bears, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you're not already. I post videos every Saturday, and you do not want to miss out on a single one. Next month's theme is self-employment, which I'm really excited about. I'm gonna try to take a kind of generic twist on it so that it applies to more people. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day, a great week, and I will see you next Saturday. Bye!